Okay, Joe Rogan is asking questions. Roger Spur is responding.
No. All up and down the East Coast, it's not just the Carolina, there are literally millions of these geological features. We started to notice them with the advent of aerial photography, and then when we started doing LiDAR flyovers. They range in size from pretty small to pretty big, like miles in diameter, and they're all elliptical. There was a study done because the guy went and mapped out thousands of them and lined them up, and it wasn't until he took into account the Coriolis effect, so the spin of the Earth, all of a sudden all these lines, the orientation of these bays all lined up at around Saginaw Bay, so which would have been buried in ice. Here's the theory that comes out about the Carolina Bays, is that there was a massive impact into the ice. It basically threw us splash damage of ice boulders the size of baseball stadiums on suborbital trajectories that then created this saturation bombardment and liquefaction of the entire East Coast and over there in Missouri. Have you heard of the Carolina Bays? No. All up and down.
All right, that's Joe Rogan, and they're talking about the Carolina Bays. And I was asked for my opinion, and obviously, you're going to hear my opinion. Okay, if you're Mudfossil people, you are anatomists, biologists, chemists, all of that stuff, because I have shown all that. And if you've been watching, you're pretty well up to snuff on things. This is blood vessels and arteries and veins and lymphatic system and capillaries and so forth. Any doctor will tell you that that's an artery. These are blood vessels. They lead down to capillaries, which dump into the veins. I'm going to show this, and I have shown this hundreds of times. You're going to pick up on more than I have shown before, so don't just drop and say, oh, I've seen this before. Stay tuned, because you're going to see some stuff you ain't never seen before. Okay, let's just get right into it. This, as you know, as Mudfossil people, is biology. That's not just little rivulets and this and that. No. This is biological. You see all these? And it's, where do you see the area it's restricted to? We all know about abrupt transitions. You don't get any more abrupt than these. All right, they're building into as close as they can get, wherever the transition changes. And it changes fast. Now, this whole area here, I believe, is what that guy was talking about. But this is, you can see, it's a biological network of, they look like they were at one time a heavy investment of blood vessels coming all the way back to here, where I believe this was some sort of a lung. And all those little holes he's talking about are like these holes. And that you'll have one big entrance where all the air comes in, and then it gets distributed through the lung. This is a lung of some creature. I don't know what it was. It looks similar to a human lung, about the same look to it. It was much smaller. It would be an infant. But this is the way they respirate. You breathe down, and through that tube goes into the lung, and it filters through all these little tiny holes and absorbs oxygen. That's what you do. And then you blow out carbon dioxide. Now, this, I believe, those holes that he was talking about, they're everywhere, are the holes that are in a lung. Now, a lung has a big passage into it, and then all of this sort of stuff running down through it. You see these? This is the same kind of stuff what I'm talking about. That is not from some impact from a crater. All right, these are all, this is biology. I mean, who can miss this if you really stop and think about it? Just take a look at that. Does that look like just runoff from hills and valleys? Now, because I know this biology inside and out, I'm going to show you where it exists on the other parts of the earth. It cannot be dismissed. This is biology, and I got a feeling this is related. It's some kind of an absorptive device, or a drain. Somehow it's absorbing and outflow into here. I assume that's what's going on. But this is biology. Of that, zero question. The whole area here is some kind of biological network. And they give it all kinds of names. They can call it Carolina Bays, call it anything you want. but it is biology. And we all know about typhon in a desert attacking the fish, and the fish, you can see every little detail of the blood vessels. We can see pretty much here. Something's going on here. It's absorbing or emitting something. You know, you'd have to take some kind of water samples and soil samples and so forth. What the hell is all this stuff here? What's that doing? Why is it like coating this whole network? Look at that. This is not an impact from a crater or from a meteor, and these are craters or anything. No, 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 no. This is it's biology. Everything's biology, and this is not too far from typhon. We know, everybody knows about, Quetzalcoatl. Here's his headdress. It goes all the way up the East Coast. Now, I don't think this is related to him, although it could be. It comes all the way down. Let me think about it. He could be, yeah, that could be part of typhon. I always thought his body stopped right about here and swung up to the East Coast, which is the feathers at the end of his tail, the Green Mountains. Which obviously these are the feathers at the end of his tail. And we swing this back around here. Let's think about where it would end. Washington, D.C., believe it or not, is where he poops. Now, could this be part of his body, the whole area, all the way coming up here? Oh, it's possible. It's possible, now that I think about it. What's going on there? Well, this is something that have to be really looked at. I always thought it sort of went like this and sort of stopped there. But you got to look for the really little bits and pieces that you can see. I don't know. I always thought it abruptly transitioned to here from his body, to run off of his body. But there is obviously some biology that I'm pretty sure they look like lungs. There was other creatures. I mean, he's not the only one. They were there everywhere. So whatever he was laying on top of maybe is there. I don't know. But that, I'm 100% certain, that's Quetzalcoatl. And this is his headdress. And here's his beards. This is his throat. You follow this all the way up, you see? All the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, and it comes wrapping right around. And it comes down into his gut. But it doesn't come way down to here. I think that we got two different creatures, one laying on top of the other, or something like that. But anyway, just to show you that that was biology, this is the typhon. I use them all the time, attacking the fish. You know, oh, the guy's crazy. No, I'm not. These were all written about in the ancient texts. The people that can't deal with it are the people that are literally crazy. They have no ability to see what's in front of their face. That is the gigantic fish, written about in Apollodorus, being attacked by this gigantic dragon, which is typhon. There's his dragon throat, runs all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down where it was cut, and running out red and black blood from the gash through his throat. And this is the Dragon River, Drach Basin, the whole area up here. These are all dragon scales. All right, and they run all the way up his throat to protect him from great and mighty swords, which was what cut here. In ancient texts, it says Zeus, with his great and mighty sword, cut his throat. And he's bleeding out there in the desert. He's obviously not moving, so I would say the body is here. What happens to gods when they die? I don't know. He spit a torrent of fire and flame at the fish. Exactly what it says, because they changed themselves into animals to try to hide from him. He got the fish. This is the fish's back. Any anatomist, any biologist, any doctor, look at this. And if you can deny this, I want you to tell me why you think this I'm wrong. This is all arteries, veins, lymph system, capillaries. Let's dig in a little deeper. You see the big ones? These are arteries. They carry into blood vessels that funnel into all the different tissue everywhere. And then those blood vessels end up going into capillaries, which are the little pinchers, and the capillaries end up going into the veins. And in between, it's covered with the lymphatic system. Doctors cannot see this. I can see it. Okay, the outer scales and so forth, all the way down to this layer, has been dissolved. It's gone. There's the artery, and all these little dots are plant life growing there on the red blood because it's nutritious. That's the only place where you have plant life growing. We're going to dig in real close in a second. All of these are blood vessels that lead down to the capillaries, which dump the final contents into these black ones that are veins. Veins don't just pick up at the very end of the vein. They absorb on the entire length of the veins. Veins are porous. They're literally porous. I'll show you that. If you can dispute it, I want some doctor to dispute what I'm saying. Arteries, blood vessels, capillaries. Coming down the blood vessel. You see where all these plants are growing? They love that red blood. There's nothing growing here. Nothing growing here. Nothing anywhere else but where the red blood is, because red blood is nourishing. Now, this is where the capillaries are. You see how they're pinching way off, really tiny little pinchy things? So this comes down, and at the end it says, okay, dump the contents into the vein, bring it back up, charge it back up. Well, how does it get into the vein? The veins are all open. They're porous. The capillaries go down, and they just flow right into the veins. These are veins. Now, what are all these little lines here? Take your time, look at those lines. All right, what do you see? They're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Now, what happens here at the vein? And don't forget, these are sucking up that stuff everywhere along that vein. It's not just at the end of the vein and it's all one tube that's not invadable. All of your blood flows through your system, arteries, blood vessels, capillaries, right into directly absorbed by veins. This is something most people are not aware of. Now, at that vein, we have the lymph tubes. Basically, they're lymph tubes. They're so small you really can't see much about them, but they carry the lymph fluids, which has the enzymes, the ribosomes, the bacteria, the tiniest single cell stuff is in here. All right? And it absorbs the fluids that it wants, the lymph fluids, before the rest of the stuff gets dumped into here. It appears to me. Now, this is something that nobody's ever seen before. Now, what's going on here? I don't know. That looks like somebody built something there at one time, or I don't know. I'd like to see somebody go out and look into something like that. There's so much to look at when you're like, that could have been an injury. I don't know. You got red blood running all the way down to it. Maybe you got jabbed there. Now, I just showed you the vascular network in the body. Now, what happens to that lymph fluid? What does that do in the body? It's a real pink fluid. What does it do in the body? Well, it protects you. And how does it do that? It's in your lymph system, which is the interstitium. All right, you have Google Earth. You come up here and look at this. This is the fish's body. We were just looking at this down here. Now, the dragon spit this green stuff. You see that? That's the noxious stuff that he spit at that fish to kill the fish. You see that stuff? That's coming right out of his mouth and out of his beards. Coming straight down. All of that stuff, boom, it hits the fish. Ate right through his scales. This is noxious stuff. Now, is the lymph fluid intelligent? Yes, it is. Those, where I showed you those lymph little tubes all over, that's under the fascia. Well, it's on top of the fascia. It's the fluid-filled highway that separates the expendable stuff, your skin and so forth, from the vital tissue. So it's basically, it's laying over the top of the vital tissue. It's gone. And now we're down in the vital tissue. I showed you everything right down to the lymph ducts. All those little tubes are lymph ducts. Now, when you get an injury, what happens? It appears that stuff is intelligent. When we saw it down there, it was just laying there. You really didn't see any puddles of it or anything. It was just laying around, going here and there and having a good time. Well, over here was a different story. The toxin was inside. Now let's see how it tried to take it out and how it ended up killing the lymph nodes. All right, so don't forget. Now we're going to see where some of that green stuff is actually coming into the fish. Right there. All right, don't forget, there's his scale, his fin. Right here starts where his good vital flesh is. This stuff is making headway into the fish. And the fish says, we got to stop this or we're going to die. So it sent all of its lymph fluids there. Now, how did they know to go there? They didn't bump into that by accident. How did they know to come up to deal with those invaders? Because they're clearly coming up here to try to wash it away. And this stuff is just as noxious as it can be, and it's not easily washed away. However, it's grabbing a hold of it and carrying it down to the lymph nodes. You see it coming down? Off in this whole area, all of this it's orange stuff, is bringing that noxious stuff over to the lymph nodes to clean it up. That's their job. Normally they can handle if you don't get too much invasion. You get too much invasion, you get lymphoma, you lymph cancer, because it kills these lymph nodes. So here it comes down, trying to escape. Well, trying to pull that stuff away to escape being killed by this noxious stuff. It carries, every one of them's carrying something down here. You can't see it up there, but here he is right here. They're all carrying this nasty, noxious, ugly, vile stuff. And they're bringing it over to the lymph nodes. It's all coming down here, coming down to the lymph node. Each one of these is a lymph node. Boom, 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 boom. Now, the nasty stuff is coming around, entering the lymph node to be cleaned up inside. So here it brings it down, and that's all that nasty stuff right here. Now, there's filters here. You see the filters? They keep the big stuff out. And normally it's supposed to filter through sort of easy, clean it up, bring it inside the lymph node. It cleans it all up and sends it back out to continue doing its job. Just look at the structure there. These are absorbers and these are filters. And they're taking all that nasty stuff and trying to keep it back until it can deal with it, and it's just too much. It's overwhelmed the filters. And it's in here and it has killed the lymph node. You see how it's black and dead now? I don't think it's supposed, well, I know it's not supposed to be like that. That's all destroyed. That's supposed to be sort of a, you know, a fleshy sort of thing, I would believe. I don't think it's supposed to be black like that. That is the product of death and destruction. Look at it. Totally destroyed. You see it? Now that stuff was supposed to clean up that pink stuff coming in and send it out here as new pink stuff. And it's not. It's dead. It's coming out of here dead. There's no more pink stuff left in it. It came in this side, try to clean it up, can't do it, dead. Now here's another one right down here just to show you, same stuff. Comes in all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, trying to absorb that nasty stuff. And there's the filters. Same thing here, dead. So that I just showed you is something I don't think a doctor's ever seen. Well, I know a doctor's never seen it. I can only be almost absolutely certain of that. And here's some more up here attacking coming in. Look at this. Yikes. Anyway, I think that's pretty conclusive. And the ancient texts back this up. I'm not insane. This is just as true. This dragon runs all the way from here, all the way across North Africa. That's the fluty tail. Over here, you can just see, if you want to see some more dragon scales, they're over here. It's everywhere. And this runoff is blood. Because I think he got gashed right here in his tail during that fight with Zeus. He hit him multiple times with thunderbolts. He was the Aegis holder, and an Aegis, I believe, was his thunderbolt weapon. It's just, and that's a pretty good sized thunderbolt. That's him, that's Typhon. And that's the fish. Written about in Apollodorus. Read it up. Apollodorus 1.6.234, right down the line. Apollodorus 1.6.234, and you will see about my claims. But you've already seen the biology. And the stuff on the East Coast is the same thing. And Mount Spur is a volcano, but it is a rectum, basically. I mean, it's just what it is, you know. They've always called me a rectum, but I didn't know Spur really was a rectum. It is, it's up here. And I tried to contact the National Geological Service. They absolutely refuse to talk. Nobody will talk about anything that they just can't handle. This is biology. Now, I'd love to talk to Joe Rogan. If he wants to hear about real biology, I got it for him. The Earth is a biological creature. Here's Mount Spur right up here. Hold on. Mount Spur is right there. Wait a minute. Where is it? It's right up here. Here it is. Mount Spur is right there. This is the poop. That's literally poop. That's poop coming down from Mount Spur. Follow this back up. It goes right up around here, right up to here. That's Mount Spur. It poops out here. It comes running down this side. They break into different sections. So this is the poop part. And what that is, I don't know. And I don't know. But they're segmented, quite obviously. You see how green things are when you put a little poop here and there. You know, manure makes things grow very well. This is an avian creature, and that pinches off the fluid flow, and it's absorbing something back into it. You see this? This is some kind of absorption, I believe, that would be an absorb, or it might be spitting something out of there, but I don't see the green coming down. I think the green's going back in, being absorbed. But at any rate, this is the sphincter muscles. Okay, sorry about that, but this is the sphincter muscles, and this is some type of some kind of enzyme is being either absorbed or secreted. And then that mixes up with this. They come together. It's called a cloaca. All reptiles and birds have them. And then it dumps out down here. Now, wait till you see this down here. Remember, we saw the Carolina Bays. Look at this. This is where it comes out. Now, down here, we've got a similar situation. We have all kinds of stuff coming into this. Now, this is some kind of like an anal gland, basically. And it's on this side, and it's on the other side, too. Same stuff. You see it? Now, anybody that thinks that is just natural growth of this and that, no, this is biology. And wait till you see this part of the biology. You see this? See that? This whole area here is some kind of it's biology. Let's just stay with that part. Now, wait till you see this. Again, abrupt transition going from something is feeding this with that, or it can be going that way. I don't know. I'm not sure. But look at this. I asked the National Geological Survey, I said, can you explain this to me? Can you explain that this is not biology, as I'm saying, and give me an explanation for this? Dead silence from the guy up at the Alaska volcano. They don't understand the volcanoes because they don't understand the Earth is biology. They're never going to understand a volcano by pretending this isn't what it is. It is biology. This is biology, this whole thing. Now, they can pretend all they want. They can walk in circles all they want. They can just keep collecting that paycheck and not doing their job, which is what's happening right now. Or they can do their job and collect their paycheck. But they're not doing, they're just collecting for nothing. And they're avoiding the truth because they're embarrassed to speak about it because they know they will be assaulted by their academic friends. And so I'm glad Trump is getting rid of this education nonsense, and he should talk to the Department of U.S. Geological Service. This is a pincher. This thing is a gigantic reptilian scorpzilla is what I call him. He goes all the way from here with his scorpzilla pincher, or whatever they would call it, stinger, all the way down to where he poops, Mount Spur. And he comes all the way down here. There's his shoulder, and there's his head. Right there, there's his eye. And this Lake Crowley area, all in here is his beards. And a whole chain of islands on the Aleutians are volcanoes because this is completely saturated with venom and tissues that are now beginning to warm up. And as they warm up, they fester. As they fester, they explode. I thought Mount Spur was going to explode because of all the volcanism that was going on there. But then I realized, no, it's related to this. This whole region here is completely saturated with volcanoes, and they're getting worse and worse, and one of them went off as I was communicating with the guy about Mount Spur. He was originally going to talk to me. I forget what his name was, but he's the director of the National Alaska Volcanic whatever. And he was going to talk to me, but then when I said, this is biological, let's talk about that. Nope, done. Never heard another word from him. And this happens every single time. And it's because of our educators have forced menticide on these people. They say, if you don't say the same things we told you to say, we'll destroy your life. Everybody will laugh at you, and you'll be a fool. So what do? You just keep playing that game. And it's time Trump is doing what he's doing. I'm glad. And I'd like to see them come. I'd like to see my Mudfossil University get organized, get done correctly. We need some money. I think they should sue Yale for what they did with my research. I have all the evidence to support what I'm saying. That I discovered mud fossils in 2015, 2016. Yale said yes, this exceptional preservation could happen under these basic circumstances, but only slimy little things, not bones. Not bones turning to stone. That just doesn't happen, Roger. Yes, it does. All my stuff is authenticated. I have things that are DNA tested and CAT scans. I have muscle that's turned to stone, cartilage, fascia. I wrote the paper on fascia 2015, and in 2018 they said, yeah, this layer that Roger discovered does exist. I have pushed the boundaries on this stuff from the beginning. And the giants were, I have like this here, the hair follicle for 2-inch wide hair. That's where the erector pili muscle attaches. That's the sebaceous gland, squirts fluids in to the hair shaft that comes up. There's the root ball. There's the vein in the artery. It's a 2-inch wide hair follicle. And this isn't exceptionally big by any means. As you can see, Scorbzilla runs the whole west coast up to Russia, basically. And we're going to get into in here too, because this is stunning, 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 and stunning-er. Once you get in here, yikes on top of yikes. Now this is not just hills and valleys. And there's a bunch of guys out doing desert this and that. There was a poor guy who got in a bad accident, desert drifter. I hope he's doing all right, but it didn't look good. I don't know. I haven't heard anything else since. But this is not just hills and valleys. Look at the colors. There's one out here was a bentonite hills. You should see that baby. I did a video actually on it yesterday, which is all the different colors and all the different textures and abrupt transitions and layering on layering on layering, and how did that happen? And look at this stuff. Look at that. Explain that to me from a geologist. Oh, well, you got Rift Valley. It's magma. Everything, once you got them against the wall, everything turns into magma. Oh, yeah. We know about that. That's magma. No, it isn't. It's layering of tissues of some creature that I don't know what to say. I don't know what it was, but you just saw Scorbzilla. You want to see his beard? Hold on. All right, this is scary. This is right at the end at Scorbzilla's snout. Now look what's coming out of here. This is just draining off of this hill. Why is that draining off of that hill? What is up here that created that? What is up here? Something's coming out of this area here. And why? And what's all these little bumpy looking things? This is right at Scorpzilla's snout, basically. You see this? This is the Crowley Lake area down here. This is his eyeball. It's a funny looking nose, but it is his nose. It runs all the way down to here. And here's where the beards are. I'll show you his beards in a second. And this is La Brea tar pits right out here. Now they all seem to spit something out at the end of their life. Typhon did, no question about that, and so did Quetzalcoatl. I'll show you that one too. So the La Brea tar pits, I think I understand what they are, and they're not really tar, it's asphalt. It's a whole different situation, and it contains all the molecules in body fluids. Now let's see what Scorpzilla's beard looks like, because nobody can explain that either. I can. Here's his beard right here. There it is. This is a floppy clay. It's a very fluidy clay when it's wet and it's part of the body. And this was his beard, it was in there, and it would have been able to do that. And it's a red-blooded creature because it's red and black. They all used oxygen, it looks like to me, which sort of makes it interesting because I can't see how these things could have existed in these sizes just laying around on Earth. There's just no way. Scorpzilla is 3,700 miles long. He's breathing oxygen. Look, that black and red. That's what oxygen is. That's the two major oxygenation states. And here's above, sticking up through here, and it's all fallen down and eroded. And there's no sweat glands on here, so it means it's not a mammalian type of creature. There's no sweat glands. There's sweat glands on mammalian creatures, but not on dragons, apparently. And here's where it comes out the top. And this floppy sort of clay. I believe it's kaolin clay, but I'm not sure of that. Here's another guy looking and saying, yikes, how did this happen? Well, they're hairs, my friend. They are hairs. And here's what hairs look like when you look at them close. There they are. Now there's the skin around them. And remember I told you I had hair here? This is the hair follicle. That's where it comes up. Now this is a rounded hair, which is a straight, just floppy-haired person. This one has a flat spot on the hair. So they tell me that's a curly-haired person. Now they all have a muscle that attaches so they can do this. Ah. And then you got to oil them up so they can come up good. Now, and then you got this clay, and I mean this is serious clay. Skin is kaolin primarily, and bentonite. Those two pretty much make up skin. So that's that. And here it is right there. There's a muscle. Muscle attaches right there. The sebaceous gland is right there. You see it? That's the oiler, of course, the hair shaft, and then the root comes down till you have your two dots, which is your vein and artery, basically. It's 2 inches wide. That's a good size hair. And I have all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just scads of things. This is from hsdisease.com. This is basically how hair layers, and it erodes right here, and then you get these little round, bumpy-looking things, which basically like these. You know, there would have been sheathing covering each one of these, so that it could have slid around in that sheathing. I believe. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. So in other words, hair has this sort of form to it, with sheathing sort of coating it so that it can twist and turn, as I just showed you in this one. underneath there's going to be a little donut looking thing. But this allows it to, the scales can twist and turn on their own self. And after it erodes about a zillion years here, you end up with that. Now, what else? This isn't specifically due to dragons. That's the skin of, I don't know, some red fleshy part. And that's the hair coming down. That's the root of the hair. It's not a tree. That's the root of a hair. That's not roots coming down. And they broke around the ball here to see what they could find. And they broke into it. That would have really been like this. And this is where you see the vein and artery coming out of there. That's how it would have been like that. They broke away all this stuff to see where that root went, and they found out it didn't go anywhere except down to the vein and the artery right there. Okay, let's leave it with this. Joe Rogan is asking questions. I'd love to answer them. I'd love to be interviewed by Joe Rogan. I think I have some things to offer. If he's interested, I'm extremely interested. I love you all. Thank you. Mr. Rogan, I am available. Thanks. Bye.